Good afternoon, everybody. I know I'm slightly, how late am I? I'm only 3 minutes. That's all right. We can work with 3 minutes. Just have a quick wait here and see what we're gonna do. I'll just wait for everybody to join in. Reasons. Hello, Jared Sweet Pea. Welcome to today's lesson. I hope we are going to enjoy it as much as we possibly can. You know what? Sorry. We're going to wait for everybody to come. Welcome. Hi there, Mars. It's so lovely to see you. I just got to go grab something. I forgot it. 1 second. All right. I thought, you know what? It's probably good. I've got some information on this wheel here. So we will do that as well and push this over here. Hi there, Ebony. It's lovely to see you. All righty. How's everybody been? I know I'm hoping that we are feeling better from now that's a couple of days after the full moon, that we're feeling a bit better, that we are, getting our energy back or our positivity back, or at least processing and letting go some shit. And all that good stuff. However, I know I've definitely been feeling very optimistic and very chipper over the last week because it's been nice to let a lot of shit go, right? Hey, Ortho, sweetheart, it's so nice to see you, my dear. Yes, kisses and hugs for you all over the place. Right, okay, so welcome to today's session, and this session is going to be all about self-love. Now, don't get me wrong. How many times have we talked about self-love, or have you heard me talk about self-love? I'm pretty sure it's been a while. It's been a few. Or even during your whole spiritual awakening journey, how many times have you literally gotten that that message? It was like, oh, you need self-love, you need self-love, you need self-love. And I'm like, I know a lot of people get that, but at the same time, we still find it really difficult to comprehend or understand, or kind of be like, I thought I loved myself. Why aren't things changing? Why am I getting this repeated message over and over and over again when I'm doing all that I can to give myself love? Well, the thing is, there's actually a lot that goes into self-love. And it's not just the bubble baths. It's not just, saying fuck it and eating your favorite meal because you wanted to. Or it's not just going, hey, I need 2 minutes for myself, please. That's or an hour to myself. Those are wonderful things, don't get me wrong, but self-love actually is self-development. It is self-nurturing. It is self-progression. It is your focus, right? And the deeper the understanding, the more effective that you can be when you are producing, or when you are trying to produce results through self-love. So, within this session today, we're going to be going at the technicalities of self-love and growth. So, what I'm going to be doing is we're going to be going through all of the ways that we believe self-love is. So I would like you guys to tell me what you believe self-love is, or the acts that you do with yourself that produce love. And we're going to be looking at all of the 5 bodies that you have and how that corresponds with the energy that you're putting into it. Because when we think of ourselves, we think of just the consciousness where we are, right? We think of just very broadly, oh, this is just me. But we neglect to really consider our vessels, specifically, our vessels or our physical body, our material body. We then also can neglect to think of our minds. We can also neglect to think of our hearts or our higher consciousness. We also forget to think about our subconscious, or the fears that come about, or taking care of that part, in order to clear energy out. And also we at times neglect to think about our emotional parts of ourselves. Each one of these different sections of ourselves literally need to be addressed. They literally need to have the same kind of attention, care, and focus, our love, in order to get the problem solved. Because, for example, you may be thinking, oh my gosh, I just saw this lady. She told me I need to love myself. So I'm going to go have a bubble bath, right? When this lady, I myself told you, man, you need to really look at yourself and devote some time and attention to yourself. You're like, okay, I'm going to go get a bubble bath. When it's like, well, nah, the time and attention needs to go onto your emotions. A bath isn't going to cut it. You know, you're going to need to literally sit down and feel the energy in order to know where to heal it. Or it could be like, oh, well, you know, the reason why you're not feeling progression or love in itself is because you're neglecting your heart. You are neglecting your higher consciousness and the information that came through it. So with this, with all of these kind of bits and pieces today, we're going to go through each one of those to give you an example of how we can use our inner alchemy to really produce this development and move forward. All right. Hi there, Orton, sweetheart. It's lovely to see you. And Juan as well. It's lovely to see you, my dear. All righty. So if you have any questions during this session where you're like, oh shit, what did she say? Or you want to put your feedback in, please definitely do so. I am going to definitely be asking for some examples today, hence why my whiteboard is a little bit more clear. Okay. So let's firstly, let's all start this off. Hi, sweetie. What is your definition of love? All right. Now, and again, I want you to think about this. Love has been said that, oh, we cannot define what love is. Love is this, love is that, love is a hot cup of cocoa on a cold day. You know, those kind of things. But to understand how to give yourself self-love, you need to understand what your definition of love is in the first place. So let me know, what is your definition of love? And we're going to get it up on the board here. So, ortho, a growth, a state of being, or a state of bring? Or are you saying like, oh, you're bringing something to the table kind of thing? I'm pretty sure that's a state of being. But it's growth. So ortho is saying that growth. Growth. Being. Thank you so much. Anybody else? What is your definition to you? What is love to you? I know nurturing or nurture is something for me as well. Juan, compromise. So that's one there as well. What else is your definition of love? All right. How do you love? What do you believe love is? Anybody else? Anybody else? What is your bits of love? I'll put in there as well, development. And you may be thinking, well, what is the difference between growth and development? Well, something can grow, but if it's developing, so for example, you can have a stick that grows, so it's still a stick, it is grow, or it can develop into a tree, right? So it's changing or it's developing into something else. So that's the difference there. Tamara, attention, yes. Attention, or I'll also put focus. So attention and focus. Hi there, Vladimir, Nicole, Charlie, lovely to see you guys. Ortho growth development, I'm like, yeah, there is a difference between that. Don't worry, I got you. Good evening, sweet pea. All right, anybody else? What is your definition of love? Right? What do you believe love is? Jared, using your energy and giving it to others through time and attention or service of something or thoughtful gifts. Giving. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to put that down as giving. Okay, to sum that up. Okay, perfect. All right. What else do we find that love is to you? These are all some good things, and we're going to break them down in just a little bit. We're going to put them back up into here at this time. Anything else? What is love to you? What is your definition of love? Juan, power. I'll also put energy in there. All right, so you give somebody your power, you give them your energy, or throw a compassion. Yeah? Compassion. Okay, perfect. Feeling enough. I would say, would that be wholeness? Like feeling whole in yourself? Or satisfied? To be a little bit more specific for me. So, because feeling enough I guess that's relevant to the emotion at the time. But yeah, give me a little bit more specifics on that, Vladimira. So, like again, feeling satisfied, content, or whole. What is love to you in that way? Let's have a look here. Oh, you know what? Truth. I'll put down there. Truth and honesty. No, love is truth and honesty. So Vladimir, meaning like you don't need to prove anybody to or anything. You know what? How about we go acceptance for that one? Acceptance, because you know when you don't need to prove anything to anybody, you're like, nah, man, I'm good over here. I accept whatever it is that's coming through. So would that be and feeling kind of like, no, it is what it is. Would you? Well, I'll definitely put acceptance on there as well. But you know, I feel like you don't need to prove anything to anybody. That sounds like acceptance, but again, feeling enough sounds also just like contentment as well. Like you're content and you're happy with what it is that you have, and it's enough, right? So yeah, would that work? Would that work? Because I want to get it to as specific as we possibly can. Or you know what? I'll just put feeling enough. Enough, yes. Okay. Alrighty. Anything else? Anything else that we can think of that is love? Being accepted for the person who you are. Perfect. So we'll put down acceptance for that one. Let's have a look here. Truth. Yep, that seems about right. Okay, so I think if there's anything else that we have, oh, freedom. I'm definitely gonna put down there freedom. Love is unconditional. It is totally free. There is no limitations that love places upon anything or anybody in order for it to do. It simply just is. Okay. So you know what? Unless there is anything else that we already know or already have there, I think this is what we can start off with. So. You know, let's put this at the bottom here. just so I don't have to rewrite these things. So again, we've got, can we see that all right? There we go. Okay, so now let's have a look here at what these are actually corresponding to. So when we are feeling these emotions that within your depiction are love. So let's recap on those as well. We've got growth, nurturing, compassion, development, attention or focus. Nurturing, compromise, development, attention or focus, giving, being power, giving power and energy. We've got compassion there, truth, acceptance, feeling enough, and also freedom. Now, the only thing I'm going to be putting in here is I'm actually going to say compromise is not really part of that. Compromise comes from when you are, when you compromise yourself, and of course this is of self-love. When you compromise yourself, that is actually a bit of a slowdown with energy. Because I want you to think, if you are just like, okay, I love you, person, I want your happiness and I want everything. I want you to be happy. However, in order for you to be happy, I need to compromise myself. Well, that's not really giving. That is a condition that is on there. So I'm actually going to take out compromise because that is in direct violation of freedom down over here. That does not mean that you cannot work things out, but at the same time, when love is present, there is no such thing as compromise. It is just simply all of the other stuff that is going on, right? Because if you're coming to a wall where you need to compromise, then that means that you are trying to work with a lie or that you are trying to work with fear in some sort of way, which love and fear don't really work well together. Right? That's why we're all in these statuses of emotional distress. Right? Okay, so let's go into growth. How is it that you can show your vessel growth, show your mind growth, show your spirit growth, show your subconscious growth, and show your emotional self growth, right? And we're going to kind of give out scenarios and situations within this at the same time. And understand as well that all of these aspects, vessel, mind, heart, spirit, subconscious, and emotion, are literally all fragmented parts of you that individually need addressing. And if you miss out one individually, then this is again why we are not finding ease when it comes to self-love. Alrighty. So whenever we are looking for growth, there is, how do I explain this to make this even easier? Sorry, I had it in my mind. Now I'm just like, oh, sugar plums. How do I want to put this down to make the point that I'm trying to get into this? Okay. So situations of growth would be, your vessel. So let's say, how would you grow your vessel? You give it the proper food and nourishment. Right? So good food, nourishment. All right. So let's start on growth. Well, we're just going to go through these one by one, right? And definitely take out these hints and tips, because you may find that as we're going through them individually, it's just like, oh shit, I actually don't do that very much. I don't do this. And it's something that you can start to incorporate into your daily life. So how many individuals give yourself proper food and proper nourishment when it comes to your vessels? All right. Just pop in, whether, as I'm asking these questions, you can just be like, me, yes, no, or whatnot. So, and I'm just going to pop a dot every time we go through that. So how many people give yourself proper food and nourishment, which is a way of self-love to the vessel? Okay. And when I say proper food and nourishment, I mean what your vessel requires. Now, if you are comfort eating, or if you are eating lots of meat, doing the alcohols, doing a lot of chemical toxicity that's going on, like, the processed foods and the kebabs, all of those kind of bits and pieces. Factor that in as well. Like, Is it primarily nutritious food that you eat that is going to give your vessel the love that it requires? Or are you filling yourself up with a bunch of rubbish, right? And don't get me wrong, everybody has like, those cheat days and so forth. It's kind of like, look at it like, is 50% of your food healthy and nourishment? Or is it like 60% shitty food and only 40% nourishing food? So just go by that mark. If you're 50% or above on healthy food, then that's cool. We'll put you up there. So Vladimir, you've got yourself, yep. And then we've got Elio. Hi, Sweet Pea, by the way. So Elio's like, yes, on proper food. I know I'm there too. I like to give myself some good nutritious foods. Okay. Now, when you are giving yourself good nutritious foods, which is going to, of course, continue on with your growth, how is that actually affecting everything else that's going on too? Oh, so Joe, we have yes on Joe. Okay. So I do have balance and do intermittent fasting. Okay. So Vladimir's got that balance. Jem, sweetie, most times organic, but I have cheat days. Okay. So if we're like the stuff. Okay. So and then we've got Jared. I only buy healthy, organic, vegan food and try to eat as raw and live as it's not lightly fried or steamed. Okay, excellent stuff. So we've got a few individuals here who are just like, yes, I give myself proper nourishment. Okay, which is amazeballs. Now, how often? Let's say when it comes to food, we're actually going to put this into the mind aspect as well. Tamara, you're also there too. Okay. All right, so now let's look at how food or the nourishment, because again, you are what you eat, and this is appropriate to every part or every one of these bodies that we have to manage. So how do you feed yourself mentally? All right, do you give yourself the mental nutrition that you require? All right. Are you, again, what is good mentally is something that stimulates you, something that helps your growth go through. You could be like, oh, well, you know what? Sitting here and being with me and talking about this could be very, very stimulating and nutritious for you mentally, because of course you are, you're learning something new. You could be watching a documentary that gives you something. You could be in the presence of another individual through conversation and having great mental stimulation. Or you can, and again, we're looking at the 50% mark if it is an up or a down, right? Or would you say that the primarily amounts of your waking day you spend at work, which you're like numbed out, which you're doing either repetitive tasks or not allowing your vessel to, or your mind to expand because you're in the same loop over and over and over again, right? Or are you kind of distracting yourself and consuming vast amounts of social media that may not be very beneficial? Don't get me wrong. There's some, if you are on social media, but you are practicing and using it in a way that is growing your mental capacity, then fantastic. But let's face it, we know that a lot of individuals may get caught on, caught watching some bullshit on social media, or the drama, or getting caught up in this and that, where mentally it is causing them frustration, fears, confusions, and all of those kind of bits and pieces. So let's have a look here. How many of us are consuming the proper mental, and this is not about being like, self-love is, let's go back to the truth part, right? It is about being truthful and being honest. So when I'm asking these questions, I want you to really think about yourself and be really honest with yourself. This is a totally safe and open space. If you're just like, nah, I actually spend a lot of time at work and then when I come home, I binge on Netflix, or I'm just browsing the internet because I'm tired and I'm exhausted and that's what it is. Being honest to yourself in that moment will help you to promote more self-love. Because when you are being honest, you are able to get to the root cause of the things and the issues that are causing you upset. If you continuously lie to yourself and be like, no, I eat great, and I only look at wonderful things. You know, that's where the fake love and light kind of individuals come in, you know? And I know we all have felt those at some point where we're just like the ones that avoid all of the negativity and literally just go into that cycle of, oh no, everything's fine, everything's fine. It's like everything is not fine because they keep trying to tell themselves, they keep trying to reprogram it through just telling themselves these things rather than living it and experiencing it, right? Hey there, Mark, sweetheart. Welcome, my dear. Okay, so, sorry. And Vladimir, I learned to eat only when I'm hungry, not when I'm bored, right? Or comfort eat at the same time. That would be going into the mental at the same time, this heart and the spirit. So again, being really, really honest with yourself. How many of you give yourself the proper nourishment or consume the proper things that you need mentally and emotionally at the same, mentally, as well as the other things. But yes, what is your mental consumption like? Would it be positive, or is it like, So if you know that you are on a positive kind of trip, then pop your name down and let me know, like, are you consuming positive things mentally? Alright, so I'm like, if everybody's like, nah, I'm going to be like, alright, we're going to leave that blank and we're going to be moving on. So, and don't get me wrong, like, I will definitely admit, there are times when I am really tired and I will just binge out on anime. I absolutely adore it. I'm drawn to it, but sometimes do I need to turn it off? I'll be like, yes, I'll catch myself and be like, yo, I'm watching way too much anime. My visions are coming in anime. You know, it can be a little silly. Vladimir, it took me a long time to learn, but positive now. Okay, that's good. So we'll put down there. All right. I believe I'm about 50% up in there as well, so we'll pop that on there. So yes, if you have that, pop it down. If not, then that's okay. We're going to move on. So going again with your food consumption, your heart. And when I say heart, it is your higher consciousness or your spirit. Do you consume the correct knowledge and energy? Mark, 50% on that one. 60% on that one. Excellent. Do you consume the correct within or what feels good to you when it comes to your heart and spirit? You know, and a good example of that would be when individuals are aware of their higher consciousness, they are aware of their intuition, they are aware of their abilities, or they have a sense of awareness of their abilities. They may not practice them very much, but they are aware of them. Now, are you in a place where you are supporting, where you are giving yourself the proper nourishment when it comes to that? Or are you just kind of like, eh? So a good example of that would be, what would be a good example for them? Oh, a good example would be when, for example, you have, throughout your experiences, throughout your absorption of information or knowledge, when it comes to sensuality wanted to come in. Let's say when it comes to your abilities, whatever abilities that may be. Maybe you learn that you're clairvoyant. Maybe you learn that you're clairsentient. Maybe you learn that you are an empath, right? Are you consuming at that point? Have you consumed more information that will help you develop this, that will help and stimulate your growth within your higher consciousness? You know, are you looking into whether that be books, whether that be lessons like we're having here? Maybe that's meditation, where you're like, oh, I'm going to give myself the proper nourishment I need in order to support the growth of my spirit, right? Or are we just like, I know I'm an empath, but I don't actually do anything for it. I know I don't actually, I don't steady emotions. If an emotion comes in and it doesn't feel good, I tend to run away from it more than I do address it. You know, I know some of you are vibing with me because I'm just getting different voices going preach in my head, which I love it, but still, it's funny when these things are happening, right? Ortho, yes, perfect. Okay, so Ortho is on there. Now, I definitely know that I do that because I'm hardwired to do it, and I absolutely adore doing it. But still, do you grow your higher consciousness? And even so, like, for example, when you've learned a lesson, let's say you went through a really shitty time emotionally during a full moon, perhaps, and you came to some conclusions. You're like, wow, I let people talk over me. I let people walk all over me. Or I have allowed the mistreatment of myself because of this insecurity. And then you're like, shit, fire, I ain't going to do that no more. But then the very next day you fall right back into the same cycle where you ignore what it is that you've already learned, kind of thing. That's not self-love. That's neglect right there. So how often do you nourish your higher consciousness? All right. So moving on then, let's look at what do you do to feed your subconscious. Now the subconscious is a very deep level of a lot of people's subconscious are full of fear at this very moment. But the subconscious is the programming that has gone in based on what it is that you have experienced, right? So Mark, I'll put you down there for the higher consciousness. So, you know, I don't want to make it seem like the subconscious is bad, or whether it is, the subconscious is not necessarily a bad thing, right? It is literally just a record of what it is that you've been doing based on the decisions that you've made on a day-to-day basis. Unfortunately, many of us have made poor decisions for ourselves that haven't been within self-love, that haven't been within a place of growth or development, and so then it's full of fear. And then when the subconscious is full of fear, it makes us go on a track of fear, right? Or it makes us reproduce that fear because it can only go on what it is that we have already experienced or what it is that we know. So at the same time, how do you nourish your subconscious? Well, one way of doing this is to be aware of the decisions and processing of the energy as it comes through. So for example, if you were let's take it back. You're at work, right? And you're doing your work, and one of your colleagues, who may be a dick, comes and says a comment to you. And it's a comment that really doesn't sit well in your heart because you're just like, man, why has he got to be such a dick? You know? However, you did nothing to stop this from happening. You did nothing to address it. You didn't speak up in that moment. You literally just let it pass and slide through. Well, in that case, because you did not process that energy, you allowed your subconscious to formulate pathways of more negativity, or to support those already existing pathways of negativity that are there. Now, and I want you to think, if you have your kiddo, because a lot of us are parents here, when you have your child, and your child is picking up a bad habit, let's say, or they have a habit of you watch them on the playground and some kid goes and takes their lollipop and you watch them and they absolutely do nothing, right? You'd be like, yo, baby, it is okay to stand up for yourself. You catch that right there. And you're like, no, What we do is we stand up for ourselves and we say, no, this is mine and you cannot take that, or you do that. So that attention and that processing in the moment that you would give to your children, how often do you check yourself and do that for yourself? All right? And unfortunately, the answer is not very often. I definitely know that. It is something that needs to, when you are trying to grow your subconscious, it's about acting in the moment, right? And correcting things in the moment. Now, how many of us do that at this very moment? How many of us do we focus on those patterns and those cycles that cause us negativity and be like, nope, I'm stopping this shit right now? I definitely know that's something I do on a regular basis because I can't stand that shit. Right, Vladimir, we can easily help others, but standing up for ourselves, it's more harder. Exactly. But this is because, again, not many people have been giving love to this part of their vessel, to this part of their consciousness. They have been just allowing it, just the same way you see your kids or you see people being mistreated, and if you allow that to happen, but you're like, no, fuck that, I'm going to stand up for them, but you don't stand up for yourself. Mars, for food, the past week, horrible. I eat one meal a day and it's meat or quick snack foods at the end of the day. For mental consumption has been awesome. Oh, Wonderful. Um, has been awesome. Lots of positive affirmation, alkaline recipes. Oh, nice. Meat replacement meals. What herbs to heal myself, and a very little anime that does. Not a very little note. A very little anime that does drop some mental. Don't get me wrong. That's one of the reasons why I love anime, though, Mars, because I'm like, they got some truth right there. They got jewels hidden in that, and I'm like, fuck yeah, fuck yeah. My resolve is being like, you know, redone on that one. Okay. Gem Sweetie, you're currently trying to figure out everything after the vessel. Don't worry, don't worry. Just, yeah, you can pop it down the same way Mars did, and I'll pop it up there. So, and also we are going by the current moment as well. When I'm asking these questions, I mean right now. You know, back a couple of years ago, I would go on like a 5 to 10 kilometer hike in the mountains every day, right? And that was my joy. So if I'm just like, yeah, I'm really giving my vessel, like that's what I do. But right now, can I say I do that? No, I don't. So I have to leave that in the past and be very focused with right now as to what's happening. So at the very moment, Mars, we're not going to put you down for positive nourishment of the vessel there, but we will pop you down for mental as well. And, you know, and as well, that the drops and the jewels and everything that's going on there. Elio, mark you down for this one. Yes, so you are helping yourself to correct those patterns. That's fantastic. Mark, I stand up for myself because of how I was mistreated in the past. Excellent. But how often, Mark, do you stand up? That was an example of being mistreated by others. But how often do you stand up to yourself when you are mistreating yourself? Right? So, and that's another thing at the same time. When we are in patterns of self-abuse or self-neglect, how often do we notice these things and do that as well? A good example of that would be, you are tired as fuck. And I mean, you are downright exhausted. You had a day at work, you had to come home, you cooked yourself and maybe your family some food, and everything like that. And there's a bunch of other household tasks that need to be done. Now, in that moment, you have a decision. Your active awareness in this present moment is like, nah, I need to take this time for me. I need to sit down. I need to chill out. I need to relax for my own well-being. However, the subconscious will kick in and say, but no, I should get the laundry done, because if I don't get it done now, I won't have something for tomorrow. I should I should file that paper. I should have a look into this. Oh, kiddo, you also need help with your homework. All right, I should do that. I should do this, and so forth. And the subconscious keeps you on that track of self-neglect, right? But you don't stop it, and you keep going on with it. So again, let's put it on that one. Vladimir 5050. Oh, Nicole, don't you worry, sweetheart. Elena, yes, thank you. Yep. Oh, perfect. Oh, yes, you do that, Orthoa. I do that. Compare my now with self-love of the past. Right, right. And Mark, I need to develop more self-discipline. Right, yeah. I freaking know that whole comparison of the past. And the problem with that is because it's, again, not showing us that we are being truthful to ourselves. We are thinking like, oh, I was able to, that was one of my things, right? I was like, oh, I was able to lose weight so fast and get healthy and so forth back then. So it's okay if I have this extra helping of dairy-free ice cream now, because I know I'm going to get right back into shape. It's like, nah, back then I was in the forest. I was surrounded by energy. I was surrounded by the calm and the beauty. Everything was bolstered. So of course, everything stabilized and balanced out really quick. I'm in the city now. I'm surrounded by concrete the most of the time. That is definitely harder right now. So I should not be having that extra scoop of ice cream, Ortho, I don't think I hear my subconscious. I need the discipline it can bring. Nah, you know what, though? It's about, the subconscious it helps you, or think about, in the vehicle, the subconscious is all of the things. Like if you're driving your car of life, yes, you are behind and you're in the steering wheel. The whole vehicle in itself is your vessel, and you get to go in places. The subconscious is all the things that you don't see, like the oil, how it's filtering through your car, and it helps to make it go. Your subconscious is all the little pings and the dings and the lights that go on, the tire pressures, the things, all the things that you don't see that help your car to run. So it's not necessarily that those things bring you discipline. It is your consciousness brings you the discipline as to follow what feels good to you. But when you also think about it, when you are promoting a lot of self-love, having discipline isn't really a requirement, because you're doing things because you want to do them, because it feels good to do them, because you have nourished every part of you and you're like, fuck, this feels good. You don't have to be in a place where you're forcing yourself to do something, because why would you force? Again, self-love is freedom. It doesn't come with force, right? And I know these things can be a little bit like, okay. So let's go on to nourishment as well, with the emotional self, with the emotional side of you. And I want you to think like, okay, when we are nourishing our emotions, when we are allowing when we are growing our emotions, it's not to be scared of them, right? That self-love is all about being free and acceptance. Freedom, acceptance, compassion, as we have done here, giving, and that attention and that attention and that focus. So many of us, we neglect the shit out of our the emotional side of us that needs healing, that needs our love, that needs, again, all of these things, because we are scared to feel them, right? We don't want to feel anything bad, because usually, now let's say here, if you have given yourself, your vessel love, your mind love, your heart and your spirit love, your subconscious, you've addressed it, and you're giving it that time and attention, that focus to develop that, and to stop anything negative and so forth, then your emotions will be really easy to look at, right? Because you've got all of that wonderfulness in order to manage those emotions as they come through, right? However, if you've neglected all of these parts, those emotions can be like, holy shit, they're overwhelming, right? Because your emotions are going to affect your vessel. Like if you're clairsentient, like I say, if I'm sentient and empathic, so if I'm holding in negative emotions and I refuse to address them, I start to get pains in my heart space, like I'm being stabbed, or my back, or my shoulders, my legs, there's just pains everywhere. So if I'm not loving myself by giving myself the proper nourishment to help make myself grow, right, and develop, then handling those emotions is going to be difficult. Mentally as well. Emotions take a lot of time to process. You got to think through them. It's not as if there's a manual to say that, although I say that, although I'm making one. I'm drawing that emotional map, right, to give you a manual. But still, it's not as if there is currently out there published a manual that is going to be like, if you have a heavy feeling right here, that's specifically this. Well, of course not. It's relevant to the experience that an individual is happening. Although, yes, I'm saying this and I will actually get that out. So everybody will have a manual, but still, and if you're not understanding, or if you haven't given yourself the proper mental nourishment to help your mind expand, to think outside of the box, to learn new things, then it will be really difficult to be able to process your emotions and understand what's going through. Same thing with your higher consciousness. Your heart is where your emotional source is. If you are not giving your heart truth, time, development, affection, compassions, and so forth, you're going to have a shield over your heart. And you're not going to be able to get the wisdom and guidance, because that shield is covered through fear of the fact that you are addressing them in the first place. And your heart is also giving you the power. It's giving you the energy that you require to delve deep into those as well, right? Also, your subconscious if your emotions have always been on a negative pathway because you're holding negative emotions inside of you, then it's hard to battle your own subconscious to try to reprogram this shit, right? And hence, this is one of the reasons why so many people avoid their emotions. And thus, when they avoid it, our emotional vessel doesn't get taken care of. We literally, we suppress these emotions so much. And just think, like, the more you suppress, and don't process, it's just a huge weight. Kind of like, don't clean your house for a year. It would have been easier if you did it, if you made a mess and just cleaned it up straight away, right? You felt the emotion, you processed it straight away, and you cleaned it up. But if you didn't, then that just means that your house becomes messy, then it becomes really messy, then it becomes a hoarder's house, and then all of a sudden it's overwhelming and you don't know what the fuck to do, right? You're lost, you're confused, and everything is going out of whack. And again, this is why I say a bath is not going to help that. Taking care of the rest of yourself is going to help that. So, with that being said, how many of us take care of our emotions? How many of us manage them as they come in? I definitely know I do that shit all the time. Because again, I take care of the rest of these things, and I don't want to feel those dagging freaking daggers in my heart space if I don't. Right? Hey, Latonia, sweetheart. Hi, Rupert. Lovely to see you guys. So again, think of how many times you do that. Now, we've just been on growth. This is just growth. We haven't even covered the other bits and pieces yet. So, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to take up too much of your time in order to go through all of these things. But let's pick some of these. One of the biggest things that I find that a lot of people have trouble with as well when it comes to self-love is, let's look at focus. Let's look at freedom. Let's look at truth. And, let's start with those as well. So let's go back to the beginning. Attention and focus. So how do we give ourselves attention and focus? Meditation, that's one way. Sitting down and just literally thinking of ourselves, so selfishness. And I'm going to put down selfish because you know what? How many of you are scared of the word selfish? And be really honest with yourself, because the truth is right there too, and this is all about truth. How often are you like, no, I am being completely and utterly selfish today, and I don't give a rat's freaking backside what anybody or anything says about it. Today is me. I am being selfish. Without feeling guilt, shame, remorse, or any of those other negative emotions when you look at the word selfish or when you attach what that means, right? Hey, Tamiki, sweet pea, it's lovely to see you, my dear, right? Tomorrow, self-full, yes. Rupert, no one wants to admit that they're selfish. And I'm like, that's because there's been such a negative stigma put on the word selfish. That it somehow means that you are not compassionate, that you are not, that you are hoarding your energy and power to yourself, that you are not giving, that you're not a giving person if you're selfish, that you don't have enough, or that you're just, again, trying to hold on, all of those things, or that you're not nurturing when you're selfish. And that is literally horseshit. Because at the end of the day, to be selfish just means that you are simply giving yourself focus. And you have every single right in the entire existence to do so. Not just is it a right to do so, it is a responsibility that you have to do so. I'll say this, I'm a very selfish person. I'm putting it out there. And I know some of you will just be like, but wait, Cool Up, you give so much. You give so much of your time. You give so much of your energy. You give so much of these things. I'm doing this class right now. I'm giving you my time and my energy for what it is. But the difference is, though, I'm still selfish as fuck. I'm giving this because I've been selfish. Because I've said no. When I'm tired, and I'm going to take this time for me. And to be honest with you, come hell or high water, anybody could come and be like, oh, but please, cool it, but can you do, I will still say, no, sorry, this is me time. You're going to have to wait until I'm free, right? And when I am free, because I've been so topped up with my own energy while being selfish, because it has allowed me to focus on all of these parts of self-love, you know, if one of these are not on the right track, if I am failing to give my vessel the correct love it needs, then that means that, I'm going to be selfish right now and I'm not focusing on anybody else until I until I check this box. Same thing with mentally, with my heart, with my subconscious, with my emotions. And because I do that, it allows me a lot more energy. I get so full. And when I get full, I get to be like, you know what? I'm going to give back because I want to, because it is my gift to everybody. Right? And that's just what it is. So to say, so if somebody calls me selfish, I'll be like, yes, I am. Thank you very much. Right? Because I know what selfishness can lead to. Oh, fantastic, Cham. Vladimir, it took me 46 years to be okay with being selfish. Right, exactly. Because how many of us are told that we need to give without replenishing ourselves? We are taught to value giving and other things more than we value giving to ourselves. Latonia, I was raised not to be selfish. It was hard to get over that old pattern. Right, exactly. Because, and that's another thing. How many times you've said, no, I can't be selfish, but whatever action that you took after that left you drained, whether that be mentally, emotionally, physically, left you unhappy, left you unfulfilled, just really think about that. Because at the end of the day, if you are here living life, it should be within fulfillment. It should be within happiness. It should be everything that is you, which is your core, which is love and joy and good things. Yes, challenges come around, but they're lessons. You learn your lesson, you move on. But still, life shouldn't be this trudge and this sludge of just like, because we need to learn to be selfish. Tamiki, I'm being selfish right now. Yeah, damn right. That's exactly what you need to do because only good things happen from it. So we can put some bits down. Although I've only got a few more minutes though, so I'm gonna kind of move on. And I want you can put those dots down within your own self, being honest to yourself. How often are you selfish when it comes to your physical vessel? Your physical body. How often are you selfish when it comes to your mental health and paying attention and putting yourself first and be like, nah, man, this shit is me. How often are you selfish with your heart and your spirit, right? To be like, no, my heart is the most important. My spirit, my higher consciousness is the most important thing to me right now, and nothing else matters. I don't care if you are my husband or my wife or my kids or my boss or the dog or the cat or the plants, the trees, the water, the breeze. It doesn't matter. This right now is all me, right? How often do you do that? Same thing with your subconscious. You could be mid-conversation with somebody, and how often are you just going to be like, nah, man, you know what? This, I just got triggered. I just felt this. I need to go and look into this. Right, and this is all my focus, even though you had something scheduled. And again, emotionally, right? How often do you say, my emotions matter more than anything else right now? And I don't give a shit whether you think I'm rude. I don't give a shit whether you think I'm impatient. I don't give a shit whether you think, whatever you think of me. My emotions in this moment are valid and I support me more than anything else. So think about that. You can put those dots down there. Let's have a look very quickly at truth as well, right? A lot of the times, this is one of the main things that I have as well, is that people are not honest with themselves. They know the truth. Here's the thing. It's not as if they are ignoring, it's not as if they are like totally unaware of the truth of what it is. It is because they have within a pattern, within the subconscious, and also within neglect of the heart and neglect of the mind, that they convince themselves of the lie, even though the truth in knowing has been there all along, right? So how can I say this? Let's say you're going through life and you come up across a decision to be made, right? Where, or this is a lie that I get from a lot of people. They're working in their job, whether that be full-time, part-time, or whatever. They're working in a form of employment or a career field that they chose. They went to university for it or college or whatever, and it is now their career. And one of the things that they do, how they lie to themselves, is they say, I love my job. So let's put it this way. Let's pick a profession. Let's say you have let's say you're a teacher. Let's say you're a teacher in school, right? And you're just like, you know what? I love my job. I love working with children. I love working with people. I love offering my guidance and watching them grow, right? And you'd be like, oh, wow, that's so wonderful. I'm so happy you love your job, right? And here's where the lie comes in, because when you ask them, like, well, would you do it for free? They're like, oh, fuck no. And it's like, okay, but I thought you loved your job. Well, really, the truth is, because you're in this profession, you're overworked, your vessel's constantly tired, you're constantly up till what time at night, grading papers, you're dealing with, and you're doing things. So physically, you are stressed, you live off of coffee and maybe a light lunch or something at work, but your vessel doesn't get the nourishment it needs, it doesn't get the exercise it needs, nor does it get the rest that it needs, right? So technically, this job that you love is total neglect of your vessel. Number two, mentally, you are teaching the same thing over and over and over again, so your mind is not expanding. Not only that, you're exhausted by dealing with the emotions that are not the emotions, but you're dealing with a lot of the same repetitive things over and over and over. So for example, if you taught the second grade, for example, no doubt the majority of your time is spent with little people, which is beautiful. That's beautiful for the heart, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, you as an individual, how much freedom to expand your consciousness are you going in there, or to expand your mind? Well, probably not very much, because when you finish school, you're now doing all of the things that teachers need to do. Clean up the classroom, get the reports done. You got to do the student reports and everything, because the parents are going to come through. You got to do the reports for the principal. You got to do these kind of bits and pieces. And usually teachers, they take their work home with them all the time because they didn't have enough time to do it at school. So they're burnt the fuck out. They're just totally burnt out. So mentally, when they do have their own spare time, Netflix, drone out, and chill is what's going to basically be happening, or hopefully something that is going to help them calm their minds or shut up. Even if they get there, half the time I'm sure they just simply crash. They're just like, I'm exhausted, time to go to bed, and crash, right? So again, this job that you love is it's deteriorating your vessel, it's deteriorating your mind. Let's go on to the heart, spirit. How is it supporting your heart and your spirit? Well, I can't say how it does. Mind you, if you are finding that the joy of teaching, or you are feeling like, oh, this is something I really want to do, that's something that's there. So maybe that is going to be supporting the deeper parts of you to nourish and develop a young child, or whoever it is you're teaching. So yeah, that would be a positive. Be like, okay, well, yeah, that's actually part of the love that is there. Let's go with the subconscious, though. Does it help you to address your own negative cycles and behaviors at the time? Probably not, because you're too busy, you're too tired, and you're just trying to get through the day as best as you can. And lastly, emotionally, does it support your emotions? Probably not, because at the end of the day, if you have a grievance, whether you have a grievance with the school, the curriculum, or anything like that, to get that shit changed is going to be really difficult. And so a lot of teachers will have to swallow and suppress whatever emotions they're having, so that they can fall in alignment and conform with the structure, right? They take a lot of abuse at times, whether it be from the children, or whether it be from the parents, or whether it be from just the industry in itself, or the institution itself. So at the same time, it's just like, fuck, your emotions really aren't being taken care of, which then leads into suppression, so that they can still do what they do. So as an example, that was a really long kind of little rant there, but I hope that gave you an example of when somebody says, I love what I do. It's like, no, you don't. There's a small part of it, but overall, deterioration. You are not loving yourself by staying in this position. If you love to teach, then there's multiple ways of doing it. You can do it in a different way. You can establish your own courses and offer things privately, or you can do this, or you can do that. But the way you're doing it at the moment, you're just burnt the fuck out. So be honest with yourself. So the fact that you're lying to yourself allows that cycle to continuously permit, and then the deterioration happens. So I hope that helped, in terms of that. And where are we? Okay, so we're the very last one. But again, let's go through this. The very last one, freedom, right? That is a huge part of lacking of self-love that I see within a lot of people. You don't give yourselves the freedom to choose, to be you, to let loose, to focus on yourself, right? Because again, freedom is all about you being free to go and do and whatever it is that you feel is right for yourself. But a lot of people constrict their own freedoms by telling themselves, which is again where they're not honest with themselves. They don't give themselves that attention. They don't give to themselves the power and the energy that they need. And they also don't give themselves the compassion by telling themselves that, no, I have to do something I don't want to do in order to produce a certain result, whatever that result may be, right? And that is the opposite of love. Because like I said before, love is where it's like, love is like the air. Grow anything into the air. So I want you to think, if you're a farmer and let's say you're growing corn, right? The air or the surface does not restrict where that corn is going to grow. Maybe the soil quality will restrict growth. Maybe chemical and other factors may come in. But the actual surface is the air. That corn is free to go wherever the fuck it wants to grow into. And it's not like there's going to be an invisible limit that's going to stop and force the corn to not grow or to curve or to do something else. Of course not. The air is just like, go wherever you want to go. I don't give a shit. Go where you need to grow in the first place. And hence, the corn can now has the room and the space to do what it needs to do. What you're doing when you think that you're giving yourself self-love by restricting yourself, that's like literally an invisible pallet in the air saying, no, you can't, which doesn't make any sense whatsoever, right? If you are growing, if you are focusing love energy on anything, and again, love energy, growth, nurturing, development, attention, giving, power, compassion, truth, acceptance, feelings of enough, and freedom. If you are truly giving yourself all of these attributes and giving all of these vessels, them at the same time, then your freedom, your potential is limitless. So why are we putting a cap on it by saying, no, I can't do this because I have to do this instead, even though this doesn't make me happy, right? That is directly being negligent to yourself. That is directly suppressing yourself. That is not self-love, right? So, with that being said, I know this is a topic that can take a lot of, I can talk on this for hours, I tell you. But for today, we've reached the end of our session. So the homework that I'm going to give out to you, or what I would definitely suggest doing, is taking down this list. And in the columns, I would say, once you have this list, you're going to ask yourself, how do I demonstrate my growth, right? And if you're just like, okay, or nurturing, how do I demonstrate nurture to myself? And you are going to go by what you do with the vessel, what you do with the mind, heart, subconscious, and emotional as well. And go down each one and just be like, how do I nurture myself in these kind of bits? Being, again, super truthful and super honest with yourself in this present moment. And if you're just like, I nurture my vessel with, I go to the gym, I work out, I make sure I go on walks and everything, so I give my vessel the nurture and the time and the affection and the love it needs, but I totally neglect my heart. The information that I gained about spiritual advancement, I don't use it at all. I don't retain the information. I just bypass it. And then I find that I'm emotionally confused and everything like that. So be honest with yourself. And I can almost guarantee that by the end of this, once you go through each section and you're like, shit, now I get what it means when I say I need self-love. Now I know what I need to do in order to show myself self-love. Because when you map it out and you see it, it's very hard to unsee what you've seen. And then it gives you, the beautiful part is, this is a part of self-love. By you simply focusing on this, you are literally directly giving your heart love, you are giving your mind love, you are giving your vessel, your subconscious, and your emotional body love, because you are finally giving all of this your attention and your focus, the same way you would do for another individual. Vladimira, I am being selfish and I quit my job. I am. Excellent. Well done. I always congratulate anybody that is quitting a job, because at the end of the day, if you are quitting it or if you are leaving that position, it's because there was something that wasn't vibing with you in there. And I commend you for having the courage to get out of that cycle and enter into something new. Hopefully making those decisions that will literally cause you more happiness. Right? You're leaving Thursday? Well done. Lots of love and positive energy flooding to you to get with that release and feel good about it too. Alrighty, so that is it from me today. Thank you ever so much for joining me on today's lesson all about self-love. For those of you who are still in need of some help and assistance, I am doing, up until this Saturday, I am doing readings by donation. So if you want to send me through any donation of your choice, you can get me for some one-on-one private time, or there's a specific selection, or if you would just like, I want an actual proper session with you, Kulipa, then please pop onto the link in the description and you can go onto my website and book yourself in for a formal lesson. Now, the next time I will be back with you is going to be Tuesday, and we will have some more wonderful hints and tips to help you along your spiritual awakening and journey. Yes, all right, sharing is caring. If you did find this lesson useful, please do share it out and let other individuals benefit from understanding a little bit about themselves. But in the meantime, have a fantastic Sunday. I love you to pieces. And yes, if you did want a reading by donation, there is a bit of a lineup that comes with it. It's not, I do knock them out, but as you send your donation, you just get popped in the queue. So if you're third in line, it just means you got to wait for me to do 2 other readings before I get to you first. But I will always let you know. But I am going to be free this afternoon for some readings. So PM me or send me a message anyway, and we'll get you sorted on that one. Alrighty, love you to pieces. Bye, everybody.